Welcome back to the Bob and Tom Show, coming to you from the Napa Auto Parts Studios. In the studio right now, it's our engineer, Ace Cosby.
Hello, friends.
That's the NutriChomps Sports Desk, currently being co-manned with two special guests. Well, one special guest, comedian Reno Collier, and then Josh Arnold isn't a guest in the show, but he's a guest at the Sports Desk.
Gotcha.
Yes, thank you.
And if you heard his report earlier, you can see why guest is underscored. No danger of him taking that over.
No, yeah, there's no...
The NutriChomps Sports Desk. NutriChomps, our new dog-friendly treat. We'll tell you more about NutriChomps coming up. Christy Lee is at her base, her post, the Navy Federal Credit Union News Desk. This is Tom speaking. Welcome back to the show. We are worldwide on American Forces Radio and on radio stations all over the USA, which reminds me that he'll be all over the USA. It's Reno Collier. Once again, it's Phoenix, Arizona's Stir Crazy this weekend, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday for some great live comedy. You are well known for your travels with the Blue Collar Comedy Tour. You've worked extensively with Jeff Foxworthy, Ron White, Bill Engvall, Larry the Cable Guy.
Yeah.
And I asked you who the most... I knew the answer to this one.
Yeah.
Who's the most dangerous one to hang out with? And
it's Ron.
I've been backstage with Ron White many times, and I've seen what's gone on there. Ron is one of the funniest human beings on earth, even when he's not trying.
The show interrupts his day. You know what I mean? Like he's that guy anyway, and then he just has to go. We were somewhere in northern Ohio, and we were on a bus, and we'd been drinking. And I'm not a Scotch guy, but he used to drink a lot of Scotch, and I like Jack Daniels, but he didn't have that, so I was drinking Scotch that I had no business. I couldn't afford it. I never would have even had it So we're hammered, and we pull into the back of the venue at like midnight, and this lady gets on the bus, and she's like, okay, she's like, as you know, the 8 o'clock show sold out so fast that we added a 5 o'clock, so if you guys could, thank you. And Ron's like, and I'm like, okay, thank you. I'm trying to be nice, So the next day, get up, get dressed, go in, 5 o'clock show, do my 20 minutes. And when I used to do the shows with him, you didn't bring him out. Like, you just said, thanks, good night. You walk off, and there would be a spotlight that would come down on a stool that had a bottle of scotch on it. So I walk off the side of the stage, and Stevie Ray Vaughan's song starts playing, and the lady's looking at me, and she's like, okay. She's like, that was great. And I was like, all right, thanks. And she's like, okay, where's Ron? And I'm like, I don't know, And she's like, well, he seemed to be a little irritated last night, so I don't know that I'm going to go look for him. Maybe you could? And I'm like, look, I don't know where he is, And she's like, please help me in front. I'm like, all right, whatever. So the song's just playing over and over, So like 5 minutes has gone by, whatever. So I walk out, open the bus, get up on the bus, look down the hallway, and the bathroom door is open. Ron clearly did not know there was a 5 o'clock show. He's taking a poop, and he's smoking whatever. His hair's all jacked up.
Let's make it clear. His buttocks area is not smoking.
Yeah,
right.
He's inserting a...
Tom, do you smoke after you take a crap?
Yeah. I've never looked. Although over the weekend, I did have a little Vesper service.
Don't need to hear that.
Thank the Lord for the beauty of the system. I'm sorry.
That's okay. So I get up, and I'm looking at him, and I can see in his eyes, his hair's all messed up, and his underwear is around his ankles, and he's like, he just looked at me, he's like, Reno, why are you dressed? And I was like, just doing the shows. And he's like, we got 3 hours of the show. And he's like, what are you doing? And I'm like, hey man, there's a 5 o'clock show. And meanwhile, Stevie Ray Vaughan's just, And he's like, what do you mean? I go, remember they came on the bus last night and said, he's like, 5 o'clock? Who would do a show at 5? I'm like, you would. That's part of the, so he's not, it's like, it's not even happening. He kind of gets up and he flushes the toilet and he's like, I can't find my shoes. And I'm like, I don't know. Man. And he pours a drink and he's sitting there going, and I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, my God, like 20 minutes has gone by. And the song just, just playing, and I'm imagining everyone just going. So he's like, yeah, and he finds his shoes, and he puts his pants on, and he's like, I don't know why they do the 5, and that's why I say the show just interrupts his day. He's talking the whole time. He's getting off the bus. He's messing with his hair. He lights a cigar. He walks out on the stage and he goes, after like 20 minutes, he walks out and goes, I'm sorry, I was taking a dump smoking some pot. He goes, I didn't know about this 5 o'clock deal. And the crowd just goes nuts because they're like, he's not lying. Like he really had no idea. And he didn't. And he did the show and just murdered. 5 o'clock shows are brutally hard anyway. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because it was a Sunday and 5 o'clock, but he sold so many tickets, it was just so jammed up. Just destroyed the people. If anybody else would have left them sitting there listening to the same song for 20 minutes over and over and walking, I was taking a dump smoking weed. I didn't even know. These people didn't tell me nothing. The crowd's like, run!
Should have been a Guns N' Roses song.
Yeah.
Would have put him in that waiting mood. Let's hear something from Ron.
All right.
This is when Ron stopped by a while back.
Yesterday, I was sitting in a beanbag chair naked eating Cheetos, and I was flipping through the television, and I saw Robert Tilton. He's a televangelist from Dallas, and he was staring at me. And he said this. He said, "Are you lonely?" And I was like, "Yeah." He said, "Have you wasted half your life in bars pursuing sins of the flesh?" I'm like, this guy's good. He said, "Are you sitting in a beanbag chair naked eating Cheetos?" Whoa. Yes, sir. He said, "Do you feel the urge to get up and send me $1,000?" And I was like, close. I thought he was talking about me there for a second. One night in New York, I already saw something that came close to truth in advertising. The De Beers people are almost saying what they really mean because the old De Beers slogan was "Diamonds are forever." Then they changed it to this year, "Take her breath away." The new slogan is "Diamonds render her speechless." And I'm like, why don't they just go ahead and say it? Diamonds. That'll shut her up.
Ron White. A man has a way with words. He does it all. Christy Lee, once again at her post, the Navy Federal Credit Union news desk. Now you gave us a little bit of a teaser. Which one was this?
An alleged bank robber in Maine reportedly used his unwitting father as a getaway driver.
I saw this.
Keith Tilton dropped his son Joseph Donald Tilton at a Lewiston bank, believing the 39-year-old needed to cash a check. Police said the younger Tilton robbed the bank of $620 within minutes of entering.
Yeah.
After dropping his son off in a different part of town, Keith Tilton drove past the bank and was stopped by police who had the getaway car's description.
Oh, man.
According to the Sun Journal, Joseph was charged with robbery.
And
his
grounded
father,
for a month.
Yeah. His father was not charged, as police really believed he did not know what had just happened.
What a bummer.
It's like one of those movies where the dad's in the car going, "Wow, what's the kid's name again?"
Joseph Donald Tilton.
"Well, Joe, it's so nice to finally be hanging out with you.
Yeah, we finally get some time together.
Yeah.
After this, let's go get a soda."
Yeah.
Wow.
What do you do if you're an Uber driver and the guy and
That just
That has
happened.
happened.
Oh, it did?
That happened last week.
It does happen.
Yeah.
and the passenger said, "Hey, just drop me off at the bank. I'll be right back."
Yeah.
Or stay here.
Yeah, I would think I'm not sure you'd say bank. Maybe wouldn't you go around the corner or something and would you go to the I don't know.
Yeah.
Wow.
Man.
So they caught the kid though, right?
Yeah, they did. He was arrested a short time later.
$620?
Yeah, hardly seems worth it, doesn't it?
Good God, man.
Yeah.
My dad would be like, go back. Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
They have a vault.
Yeah, you've always been a half-asser. If you're going to do it, do it. And rip one of those pins off the string and get me some candy.
Shut up while I back the car in. I like to back it in. You shut up. I like to pull out in a hurry.
You park like your mother.
This is the Bob and Tom Show. We are live in the Napa Auto Parts Studios. Thank you, ladies. They sing that whenever they see Ace Cosby.
So peaceful in here, man.
The sirens. Wow.
He's going to hear about that.
Chick McGee had a little heart procedure over the weekend. He'll be back later this week, it looks like. And sitting in place for him today, sitting in his place, it's comedian Reno Collier. Reno manning the sports desk. It's not just any sports desk, it's the Nutrichomps sports desk. It sounds kind of French. Nutrichomps. The Champs-Élysées. That's where you take your dog to have a nice dog. Nutrichomps, great dog treats. We'll tell you about those coming up. Also at the sports desk, doing the hockey scores, it's Josh Arnold.
Yeah.
Yeah, got your favorite team is still in there.
Still in there, man. The St. Louis Blues won yesterday over the San Jose Sharks.
They may be playing for the Stanley Cup real soon.
Depends on what happens these last two games.
Okay, very exciting, very exciting. Now, Christy Lee is here with me. This is Tom speaking. Welcome back. Happy to be here. And there's a couple things we've got to get to. I want to get to this Lamar Odom thing again. But first, what's the story on the astronomers?
For 17 years, astronomers at a well-known Australian radio telescope known as the Dish had not been able to figure out the source of a strange, vexing sound.
You ever seen The Dish, that movie?
Yeah, it was Sam Neill, I believe.
Yeah,
Good
and
movie.
Our favorite from The Tick.
Oh, Patrick Warburton.
Patrick Warburton. It's The Dish is, it's this, imagine a satellite dish, except it's bigger than 10 houses.
Right.
It's like this huge, gigantic disc.
There's an array of those in New Mexico as well.
Yeah, they pick up
Right.
sounds from space.
It was this could have been interference from space aliens, they thought.
Okay.
Well, they have finally, after 17 years, remember, discovered the source of their mystery. It was the observatory's microwave.
Is that right?
Reheating their coffee created the enigma that had remained unsolved for almost 2 decades.
Unbelievable.
The leftovers are trying to make contact.
How do you not figure that out?
The pizza.
You're a scientist.
Apparently the frequency, wow, that's pretty fun.
So was it only going off when they used the microwave?
Apparently.
That somebody went, wait a second.
Apparently, I read the article. The whole article is pretty complicated. A certain door if a certain door was open in one of the buildings, and the microwave was on. But it took them
oh my God,
a long time to figure.
17 years.
Maybe this is just what the aliens want us to think is going on.
Ah,
I like that better.
Yeah, I do too.
Well, I doubt if the aliens really want to come down here to eat Hot Pockets.
Yeah.
I don't think they're well. Maps Earth, Hot Pockets. We're looking for intelligent life. We've been watching the news. We've decided not to come.
In fact, we may blow your planet up.
a Virginia hospital was evacuated due to the pungent smell from a urine sample.
From one?
Yeah, staff at the Hampton VA Medical Center noticed the chemical-like odor permeating the first and second floors of the building. Approximately 50 people were evacuated
Good Lord.
as a hazmat team responded to the scene. According to officials, the smell had come from a urine sample that a patient had dropped off.
Get that person in the hospital now.
No joke. No word on what caused that odor.
World champion asparagus eater admitted to Virginia hospital.
Yeah, is it asparagus and Brussels sprouts that give you the?
I don't know about Brussels sprouts.
Asparagus.
Asparagus for sure.
I can tell when I've had some coffee.
Yeah.
You get a little bit of that?
Yeah.
And sometimes I can tell if I've eaten popcorn. There's a popcorn type smell.
How close are you getting to it, man?
I smell it. I smell every piss I take.
Every
Every move you make.
So one guy, they did. How sick would you have to be to have your urine that they had to call in a hazmat crew?
I don't know.
2 different floors of the hospital could smell
Right.
it. This is insane.
Well, it's my new asparagus methamphetamine diet.
Man.
Is that your urethra? It's my urethra.
A self-driving shuttle was pulled over on its first day on a new route
How?
in Rhode Island.
How?
Well, because Providence Police Chief Hugh Clements reported an officer pulled over the autonomous vehicle because he'd never seen one before.
But how did the vehicle know to pull over?
It's operated by... Would you let me finish the story? Could you save the questions till we're done?
Sorry. Should have read it
The
myself.
vehicle, operated by Michigan-based May Mobility, was dropping off passengers at Providence's Olneyville Square when police arrived Wednesday morning, May 15th. It was just hours after the public launch of a state-funded pilot for a shuttle service called Little Rhodey, which offers free rides on a 12-stop urban loop.
Doesn't a Little Rhodey mean one of those Little King's beers?
Yeah, actually
That's
it
a
does.
Little Rhodey.
Clement said the curious officer did not issue any tickets or warnings, so it was already pulled over.
Little roadie also
It
sounds
stopped.
like some action you might receive while driving.
Oh.
Like a Little Rhodey?
She gave me a little roadie when we were
Wow.
heading to.
Always go there, don't you?
Yeah. I'm a pervert.
So these self-driving vehicles, they're programmed for everything that they do. Mm-hmm. Do you suppose they're programmed to when the cop comes up? I had no idea, officer. I don't know what I did.
Who rolled the window down?
the vehicles. When there's a police officer with them standing next to you and you're stopped, you ought to be, officer, I do not know. Was I in fact speeding? Mm-hmm. I have full records.
I'm holding it for a friend.
Yeah.
Yeah, he knew it was I read that he knew it was a self-driving vehicle because the vehicle actually used a turn signal.
Oh,
Yeah. Boy, isn't that the truth?
Yeah.
Ever bolt through one of those tolls on your travels across the country?
Yes, I have, and they will find you.
You get
They do find you.
yeah, in Chicago, you get the $250 fine.
Well, there's a guy named Mr. Stiff. That's his name, who didn't pay his highway tolls.
Tell me he's a porno actor.
No, Jarrett Stiff has been ordered to pay up after accruing nearly $128,000 in unpaid tolls and fines.
Good Lord.
Stiff failed to pay for trips on the Pennsylvania Turnpike 2,264 times between 2012 and
they never once pulled him over.
Wow. 5 years. In a deal with prosecutors, the 36-year-old pleaded guilty in April to theft of services. He was ordered to pay over $11,500 and was sentenced to 5 years probation.
That's a way better deal than what he
Hell
owed.
Yeah.
Wait a minute.
He owed $128,000.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't they
He
get
only
all
had
the
to pay-
money? He only had to pay $11,500 back.
Boy.
That's the best tax deal since Amazon.
Yeah.
Well, they're the biggest company in the world. And they
Yeah.
didn't pay any tax. Okay,
Right.
sorry. Open them. It's in the paper if you read it. I'm a big fan, but I mean, really.
There's a-
That's ridiculous.
It is ridiculous.
So he gets away paying what, 10% basically?
Yeah.
Have you ever had this happen? Do you have one of those easy passes that I go to Chicago quite a bit, so I have an easy pass.
Yeah, sure.
And I used it last weekend when we went up, and it didn't work.
Oh,
Yeah.
no.
Oh my God. It's the worst feeling in the world. I'm like, why is this not working?
You're already in the Easy Pass lane.
Yeah, and the gate won't go up. You have to back out. Thank God no one was behind me.
Oh.
It was
Because if they're behind you,
awful.
then they start hating on you real
Yeah,
quick.
Oh, sure.
Right.
How do you get out of it? Do you just like
I had to back
If there
out
were
and go
people
to the
behind you.
cash.
Yeah.
There wasn't anybody behind
Yeah.
me, but now I've got this now I have toll road fear. Like I don't want to go on the toll road anymore because I don't think my pass is going to work. It's weird.
There's going from Kentucky into Indiana. They don't.
yeah.
It says toll ahead. There's no stop. They just take a picture of your car and then send it to you.
Yeah.
There's nobody there at all. They just. How can you do that?
A lot of people are doing that now.
That is. Every time I go home, there's a card from $4.
Yep.
$4, and then there's a picture of my truck, and I try to find where the camera is because I want to give them the finger when I go by, but I can't. You can't judge because they don't tell you where it is.
yeah?
Huh.
Wouldn't it be smart for a lot of these tolls just to do it one way? Instead
Yeah.
of doing it both ways. I mean, I would assume that in most cases, people tend to go back, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Wouldn't it be...
Don't you also feel like some of these roads have been paid for 10 times over?
Oh,
Yeah.
they never go
Oh.
away.
Yeah.
Shouldn't the toll stop at a certain point?
And then you get on the toll road and it's the worst road possible. It's down
yeah.
to one lane.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, I'm not paying this next time anyway.
I've sent enough checks to ball them up all together, get them wet, let it dry out, and fill one of those holes. Like, just cank. It's like, God dang, I don't want to play video games and pay
Yeah.
to be on here.
So this guy owed $128,000, ended
Yeah.
up settling for 11 or something.
11.5, yep.
I mean, that's just going to encourage people to do the same thing.
Well,
Yeah,
maybe
I'd
we
never
shouldn't have
stop
done
again.
this.
I'd never pay another toll.
Oh, man.
Oh, yeah, you would.
No, you can. I'd just bring that up. I'd be like, when you go into court and be like, look, I owe you $10. This guy owed $128,000. You charged him 11.
Do the
Here's
percentage.
50 cents. You're like, yeah, I'm out too. I'm with that guy. I want his lawyer.
Yeah, the 11 guy paid the $11,000 in quarters.
Yeah.
There you go.
Just take it and dump him.
Here's your toll.
A new bill in the New York City area would impose fines for pedestrians who cross the street while texting. According to the bill sponsored by Brooklyn Assemblyman Felice Ortiz, anyone caught using a smartphone as they cross the street would receive a $25 fine. First offenders could pay as much as $50, while additional offenses within an 18-month period would incur fines as high as $250.
I'm against this.
You're against it?
Yeah. No. If you're checking your text while crossing the road, you You get what you deserve.
Yeah, okay.
It's you don't need a fine.
Darwin at work. Is that what you're saying?
Because you're going to get hit by someone who's checking their texts. Right. So you're gonna meet a friend. In fact, that'd be like a scene in a movie. We were both on Bumble at the same time when I crushed her leg. But now, even with one leg, we're in love. That's interesting. I need to get a map. What states allow you to be in the phone while driving? What is it, about half?
Yeah, I'm not sure.
There's some real hefty fines. When you're driving all over the country, Reno, are you aware of if you're in a phone zone?
No, I Bluetooth it though.
Yeah.
But for some reason, I still, when a cop's going by me, even though I don't have the phone in my hand and I have tinted windows in my truck, I still talk out of the side of my mouth. Whenever I see cops, I still want to run. I haven't gotten in trouble in years, but if I see a cop, when I quit drinking, I was working at the beach. And my wife was in the car with me, and I'm leaving the club, and there was a roadblock in North Carolina, and it was 100 yards up. I slammed on the brakes. I whipped my truck around. I was going into a field, and she's like, "What are you doing?" I was like, "Oh, yeah, I don't drink anymore." So I pull back. I'm going through the roadblock. I was such a jackass. I'm like, "Hey, do you guys catch anybody? What are you guys doing? Can I get out? Can I see what you're doing? Can I talk to some people?" I'm like, "You want to smell my breath? I have insurance. I could do it." Because I've tried to avoid that stuff for so long that she took a picture of me. You can see the blue light faintly on the side of my face. It was awesome.
That's classic.
Robbery.